The time is 17:42 hours, 22nd November 2020, and with the consent of Eunice, we are starting this interview. So we're going to talk about the most discriminatory experience that you have had that is associated to having a child with special needs. Yeah.
Okay.
You can start by introducing yourself and tell us what kind of condition that your child is having, and then you can tell us the experience.
My name is Eunice Ndunge. I'm a single mother of a 10-year-old boy who is having cerebral palsy since 6 months, since when he was 6 months. So the most act of discrimination I've ever had in my life was from my in-laws. I was once married to my husband for 6 years. Then due to condition of my baby, he happened to leave us and he remarried another wife. So my in-laws never liked my son from day one when they realized my baby had this condition. So they really used to discriminate him. Like I remember when we used to have like family meetings and gathering, they will not allow me to get outside with the kid. So they will make sure I stay inside so that people don't see the baby. So according to me, that was most very discriminative, because at times I would like to get out with my baby and may even get to mingle with the other people or maybe the other kids. But my in-laws, especially my mother-in-law, never used to allow that. I also remember even when we were going to church, my mother-in-law never used to allow me or anybody to come near my baby. Used to tell me to cover my baby with a shawl, and I make sure nobody touches that baby. Even if they ask me maybe to help me with the baby, I should refuse and say maybe the baby doesn't like other people holding him. But deep in my heart, I knew it was a discrimination. I never wanted people to see the kind of the baby, because according to their culture, they used to believe having a disabled kid, it was a form of a bad omen in their family, and it's also a sign of curse. Because later on they came and confessed to me that they had never seen such a condition from either from my father's in-law side or mother's in-law side, or maybe from the grandmother or from the grandfather's side. So they said this was a sign of curse in their family, and also it was a bad omen, and maybe perhaps it was also witchcraft from my side. So I really used to feel bad as a parent, and I really don't know how people could associate a sickness with maybe something like a bad omen or a curse or maybe witchcraft. So it was very discriminatory according to me.
So eventually, what happened to your marriage?
So eventually they chased us, and my husband remarried without even dissolving our marriage, whereby we had done a legal wedding, and we had stayed together for 6 years, 4 months. So we remarried, and he chased us and took everything from us, and up to the date, I've never seen him. Neither has he ever came to claim or maybe to see the baby at all. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you mentioned earlier on that you were going to church. You and your husband used to go to church. So did you get any support from the church?
Yeah, the pastors who were close to us, they really tried to bring us together, but my husband was adamant. In fact, it reached a time, remember even our spiritual parents, who happened to be our best couple, they tried to call him one day, and initially he never used to pick their calls, but one day he SMS'd them and told them that it was the spiritual mom who called. Then he responded on an SMS and said, "Mom, I don't have a grace to talk to you." You see, that's a kind of arrogance to somebody who has been your mentor, somebody has worked with you all along. So my husband never wanted to hear anything from the spiritual people. I remember one day he told me, "You can do anything, you can call anybody you want for them to talk to me, but I've already made up my mind, I've already married and I've settled, so leave me in peace." But they tried.
When you say the discrimination came from your in-laws, did they use any terms that made you feel like they discriminated against your child, or
Yes, like the bad omen. It's a discriminatory word for somebody to call your child a bad omen. You know, according to me, it's a very discriminative word. also calling him like mlemavu. They used to call him mlemavu. They're from Coastal. Most of the time they used to speak in Swahili, so they used to call him mlemavu. It really used to pain me because it's just a condition. It's a sickness. You can be sick of malaria. You can be sick of any other kind of sickness, diabetic pressure. So just a sickness like any another. So I didn't expect them to be calling him using that word. So according to me, it was very discriminative.
Take us through the day you decided to leave your house and you ended your marriage. Your marriage ended.
Okay. I never decided to leave my marriage because number one, I wedded. So I had already made up my mind to be, for better for worse, I was going to stay in this marriage. But by circumstances, I happened to find myself outside the marriage. It happened one day in January 2015. It was on 24th and it was on a Saturday. I remember very well. My husband organized his people who came into my house. They were 9 in number. Him and his parents, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and some aunties and uncles and their wives. So they came into our house and they told me that my husband had been telling them that he wasn't comfortable living with us, me and the kid, and that I should pack and go. So, and they were ready to deport me back to my village. I remember one of the uncle from my husband's side said that he asked me, whom did you see when we were getting married? Who came to your place? I told him it was you, Uncle Peter, Uncle Jackson, and Dad who came. So he said the three of us whom you saw, the three of us too were taking back to your village. So I was like, what happened? What have I done? So they said that their son wanted to marry another wife who could give birth to healthy kids, normal kids. Because they were fearing that maybe later on I will also give birth to another kid who has the same condition. So they said their son wanted to marry another wife from Mijikenda, so that I should leave. And in fact, they were somewhat violently, and the words they used, they were vulgar. So I had no option other than leaving. So, but I never left by choice. I left by force without nothing. That's how I found myself a single mom raising a special kid.
So when you say that you found yourself out of your marriage without nothing, does it mean that you were not allowed to?
Yes, I wasn't allowed to carry anything. My husband confiscated everything. They took everything. The only thing I left with was my marriage certificate, my academic certificates, and the birth certificate for the baby. The rest of the things they took. And when I went back to claim the things, I found that he had distributed like my close to his sisters and relatives, and he had relocated from where we used to stay to a known place. So I had to come back.
Have you heard from him since?
Yeah, sometimes back we used to talk, especially concerning the baby, because with the medical condition of the baby, you find most of the time the baby is sick. So at times I would need his help in terms of the medical cover, because the medical cover was his name. So at times they would need maybe like the copy of his ID, or maybe there is something they want him to sign, or maybe at times I'll go to the hospital and I'll be told maybe the medical cover is not working. So at times I'll be forced to call him. But for him, he never used to call me, not to SMS. But for me, because of the condition of the baby and the situation I was in, since I was jobless, I used to call him. But not regarding coming together. For coming together, he told me it was over, and that I should leave him in peace, and that he was going to support our separation plea in court. Yes.
So since then to date, how has the journey been for you, like raising a child?
Okay, the journey has really been wonderful, though it hasn't been easy. I can say this far, God has been by Ebenezer. It has been by the grace of God, because number one, raising a special kid, it's constrained financially, number one. Because these kids are always on medication. Like my baby, even up to date, he has these conversions which come now and then and they go. But when he was at those tender ages, like 4, 5, 6, 7, he really used to converse a lot. So you find I constrain a lot financially because of the medications. Number two, that baby is on diaper 24/7. So financially, it's also another constraint. You find the baby eats special food, eats mash, the special food, so he doesn't feed like the other kids. So you find you have to look for his food to feed him. Number four, I really need somebody to take care of him, so I have to pay house girl. And you see, most of the times when they find the baby special kids, at times they ask even double pay, because they will tell you it's like double work they are doing. It's not like for a normal kid. So you find I really struggle financially, but I thank God. My family, somehow they've been there for me, and this far I thank God. So I can say this far it's only by the grace of God and support from the family. Okay, the second act of discrimination I've had is from church. Apparently church is the most expected place you expect to be shown joy, love, or maybe to feel like a family. But apparently it's no. You go to church and you find that's where discrimination is very high. I remember there is this certain church, which I won't mention the name, I used to attend, and there was this usher who I think he really had noticed me, because mothers with kids used to stay behind, and mostly you find it was this usher who was manning that row, that side. So at times my baby will maybe make a noise, or maybe cry, or maybe will just be playing, and he will come and tell me, take the baby outside, is disturbing people and they're listening to message. At first I agreed for several times, but it reached a time I felt like no, I'll not get out, because there were other kids there. I was not only the mother who had the kid, we had other mothers there with kids. Some even they were playing, some even ran almost near to the altar, and he never used to tell them to take their kids out. But for my own, when he just makes a small noise like this, it's like you're disturbing people, take your baby out. So, and he knew the condition of my baby, and he was a mother, so I expected him to be more understanding, and to be more loving, and to show me some kind of love and acceptance in church. But it was opposite. So there came this day, my baby made a small cry. Then he came very quickly, and he told me to take my son outside, and I refused, you see. And in fact, that day I confronted him. So in fact, that act of discrimination, at some point it made me leave church, because I was like, I go to church and I won't benefit, I won't hear the word, so it's better I stay in the house. Maybe at times even I just watch from the TV, you see, because when I go to the church I will not have time to stay inside the church to listen to the message. At the end of the day they will tell me to take my baby out, you see. So according to me, that was very discriminatory, and I would advise ushers to be polite and to be loving and to be understandable, especially to parents with special kids.